The invitation to explore the Solari's underground labyrinth came with a warning. Only those who seek truth should tread the depths. Captain Kane and Lieutenant Mira knew the risks. Still, curiosity and necessity propelled them forward. As the twin suns dipped low, casting long shadows over the crystalline city, Kane, Mira, and a small team descended into the labyrinth's entrance beneath the cathedral. The air was cooler here, tinged with an unfamiliar scent, metallic, earthy, and faintly alive. Their lights cut through the darkness, revealing walls that seemed to pulse gently, as if breathing. Organic circuitry entwined with living rock, veins of glowing blue energy threading through stone. It was unlike anything the humans had ever seen, half technology, half biology. Mira's voice was a whisper. "This is more than a tunnel. It's a living organism." Kane nodded, every sense alert. "Keep eyes sharp, we don't know what lurks here." The corridors twisted and spiraled deeper. Faint echoes of movement danced at the edge of their hearing. Suddenly, the floor beneath them trembled. From the shadows, a monstrous silhouette lunged, hulking, armored with sharp, claw-like limbs. Mira fired reflexively, the pulse blast stunning the creature, which retreated with a guttural growl. Kane's heart pounded. "They're not alone down here." Elira's voice crackled in their comm. "Be careful. The depths are home to the forgotten, those who rejected the surface's beauty and embraced the primal warrior within." They pressed onward, adrenaline sharpening their senses. Around a bend, they found a vast cavern filled with bioluminescent flora and crystalline structures that hummed with energy. At the center, a massive organic machine throbbed, a heart of living technology. Kane studied it. This must be the source of their transformation power. Mira's eyes narrowed. If we could understand this tech, we might unlock more than just Solari secrets. We could gain an edge in the galaxy. Their moment of awe was shattered by a sudden roar. From the shadows emerged a group of the forgotten, Solari warriors, fierce and primal, their armored forms glinting menacingly. Their eyes blazed with feral intelligence. Kane raised his weapon. "We come in peace. We seek only knowledge." One of the warriors stepped forward, voice rough like stone scraping. "Peace is a lie. Only strength endures." The tension exploded into violence. Pulse blasts and energy blades clashed in the glowing cavern, light flashing on ancient walls. Mira moved with deadly precision, covering Kane as he tried to communicate. Suddenly, Elira appeared, shifting her form mid-fight, elegant grace melting into primal power. She fought alongside the humans, her transformation fluid and terrifying. When the battle ended, heavy breaths filling the cavern, Elira looked to Kane. "You have seen our truth. The surface is but a mask, but beneath lies the strength that saved us all." Kane nodded slowly, understanding dawning. "You've survived by embracing both sides, beauty and beast." Elira's eyes held a fierce pride. "And now we must stand united. Our enemies approach." Back on the surface, the crew processed the revelations. The Solari's dual nature was a weapon and a curse, a delicate balance forged in the depths of war and survival. Mira approached Kane, her expression resolute. "This changes everything. We need to prepare. Whatever comes next, we face it knowing the truth." Kane's gaze hardened. "Then we'll fight. Beautiful, fierce, and unbreakable." The aftermath of the cavern battle lingered in the minds of the Odyssey's crew. The truth about the Solari cut deeper than any blade. Their beauty was a carefully constructed facade, hiding a warrior's heart forged in fire and blood. Captain Jace Kane sat in the conference room aboard the Odyssey, staring at the holographic projection of the Solari city, its gleaming towers now shadowed by knowledge of what lurked beneath. "We've spent too long thinking of them as delicate diplomats," Kane said, voice low but firm. "The Solari are warriors, hiding their power to survive in a galaxy that fears them." Lieutenant Mira Reyes nodded, eyes bright with urgency. "Their ritual, the underground heart, it's more than tradition. It's a way to awaken the predator within, and it's real. Ensign Harris shifted uneasily. But why keep it a secret? Why hide the truth? Elira's voice, calm but fierce, filled the room via comm. Because the world fears what it cannot understand. Our history is written in blood and fire. After centuries of war, we chose to mask our strength with beauty, to survive. Kane leaned forward. So this mask, it's not just for show. It's a weapon and a shield. Exactly, Elira replied. The surface Solari are a peacekeeping force, but when war comes, the warrior beneath rises, stronger, faster, more lethal than any could imagine. The council chamber in the Solari capital echoed with tension. The leaders debated fiercely as news arrived that the Dravak fleet, a ruthless, merciless alien armada, was en route to Zaloria, intent on conquest. The Dravak destroy all in their path, a council elder warned. Our beauty won't save us. Elira stood, her eyes glowing faintly. Then we must awaken the warrior. We cannot hide beneath a mask any longer. Outside the council chamber, Kane and Mira observed. Kane's gaze was steely. You ready? For this? Mira nodded. We've seen what they can become. We fight with them or die alone. The day the Dravak arrived, Zaloria's skies darkened with warships, casting vast shadows over the crystal spires. The peaceful facade shattered, as alarms blared and the city prepared for battle. Silari warriors, previously graceful and serene, began their transformation. Light rippled beneath their skin, bones reshaping, muscles thickening, armor forming like living metal. Their faces twisted from beauty to fierce predators, eyes burning with raw power. Kane watched in awe as Elira shifted beside him. This is their truth, she said, voice low and deadly. Beauty, yes, but also death. The Dravak ships opened fire. Energy beams tore through crystal towers, explosions sending shards scattering like deadly rain. Humans and Silari fought side by side. The Odyssey's Marines used guerrilla tactics, improvising with raw courage while the Silari warriors struck with lethal precision. Kane led a squad deep into the city's ruins, cutting down Dravak boarding parties with Elira at his side. Your strength surprises me, Elira said breathlessly after dispatching an enemy. Humans do not surrender easily. Kane smirked, wiping sweat from his brow. That's what you called beautiful. Resilience. Mira slipped through enemy lines, wielding newfound Solari combat techniques, agile, fierce, and terrifying. Her pulse rifle was supplemented by energy blades that hummed with power. After hours of brutal fighting, the Dravak commander confronted Kane in the shattered remains of the main plaza, a towering brute of muscle and weaponry. You're pretty. Faces hide nothing but weakness, the commander snarled. Kane grinned, bloodied but unbroken. You haven't seen what lurks beneath. With a fierce roar, Kane shifted his stance, channeling the ferocity he'd learned from the Solari. The battle was savage, primal, a clash, not just of weapons but wills. In the end, Kane stood victorious, breathing hard as the defeated commander fell. Around him, the surviving Solari began to revert to their graceful forms, the war's rage melting into quiet resolve. Back in the command center, Elira faced Kane. You fought well, human. You see us now, both the beauty and the beast. Kane's voice was steady. I see strength, and I see an alliance worth fighting for. As the dust settled over Zaloria, a new respect forged between humans and Solari. They had faced war together and found unity beneath the masks they wore. But Kane knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, and only by embracing both beauty and ferocity could they hope to survive and thrive. The war had left Zaloria scarred, its crystal towers cracked and shattered, its once gleaming streets stained with ash and blood. Yet amid the ruins, something unbreakable had been forged. A fragile alliance between humans and Solari, born not of peace, but of shared survival. Captain Kane stood on the balcony of the Odyssey, staring out over the devastated city below. The twin suns hung low, casting long shadows across the broken skyline. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing on his shoulders heavier than ever. Lieutenant Mira Reyes approached, her eyes reflecting the fiery hues of the setting suns. The council's divided, Captain. Some want to return to the masks, to the surface, beauty and diplomacy. Others argue that hiding the warrior beneath is a lie we can no longer afford. Kane didn't answer immediately. The Solari he'd come to know were complex, graceful and deadly, diplomatic and savage. Their beautiful masks had protected them, for centuries. But at what cost? Elira joined them, her presence commanding yet weary. We have lived behind illusions for too long. The Dravak attack has shattered those illusions. Our people fear what we truly are. Mira frowned. But can the galaxy accept that duality, or will it tear us apart? Elira's gaze was steely. That is the choice before us. To survive, we must embrace both our light and our darkness, our beauty and our savagery. To hide one is to deny our strength, our... Kane turned to Elira, determination in his eyes. Then it's not just about fighting enemies out there. It's about fighting within, breaking down the walls we've built around ourselves. The Solari Council convened in an emergency session, beneath the shattered dome of their capital's grand hall. Leaders in their surface forms appeared composed, but tension simmered beneath. You ask us to forsake centuries of peacekeeping, a council elder declared, voice sharp. To reveal our primal selves risks alienation, war, and destruction. Is that a risk we can bear? Elira stepped forward, her eyes glowing faintly with unmasked power. The Dravak do not wait for peace. They do not negotiate. Our survival depends on honesty. Honesty with ourselves and with the galaxy. From the back, a younger Solari spoke, voice trembling but fierce. We were warriors once. We can be warriors again. Hiding beneath masks only delays the inevitable. The debate raged long into the night. Captain Kane watched, heart heavy yet hopeful. The humans had seen the truth and survived it. The Solari must now choose whether to embrace it fully. After hours, a unanimous decision emerged. The Solari would no longer hide behind perfection. They would reveal their true selves, warriors and diplomats combined, ready to face the galaxy with unflinching honesty. The news spread quickly through Zaloria. Some citizens welcomed it, ready to shed the old fears. Others recoiled, clinging to the comforting illusions of beauty and peace. Mira found Elira in the gardens, where luminescent flowers bloomed despite the scars of war. How will your people adjust? Mira asked. Elira smiled, bittersweet. Painfully, but truth heals. We have worn masks to protect ourselves, but masks can suffocate. Now we breathe. Kane joined them, gazing at the stars emerging overhead. The galaxy won't wait for us to be perfect. It will judge us by our strength, by our will to survive. Elira nodded. And by our capacity to change. As Zaloria rebuilt, humans and Solari trained together, blending martial prowess with diplomacy. The Odyssey's crew taught Solari the human grit born from hardship, while Solari warriors passed on techniques forged in eons of survival. Kane watched Mira spar with a Solari soldier, her movements graceful yet deadly, human and alien, beauty, and beast united. A message arrived from a distant star system, a warning of a new threat gathering beyond the galactic rim. Kane's jaw tightened. We've peeled back the masks, he said quietly. Now it's time to show the universe who we really are. Elira placed a hand on his shoulder. Beautiful, fierce, unyielding, together. The night air was thick, with promise and peril. The masks were shattered, but what lay beneath was stronger than ever. The stars outside the Odyssey's viewport glittered like cold diamonds scattered across the void. But the peace was fragile. Captain Kane stood alone. On the observation deck, the hum of the ship's engines a faint pulse beneath his thoughts. The message from the distant system had been clear. An unknown threat gathering in the shadowy reaches beyond the galactic rim. Captain Kane. Lieutenant Mira Reyes's voice interrupted, soft but urgent. She stepped up beside him, her expression grim. We've decoded more from the transmission. It's not just a warning. It's a call for help, from a species unlike any we've encountered. Kane turned to her, brow furrowed. Describe it. Mira tapped a few commands and a holographic image flickered into view. A terrifying silhouette shrouded in swirling darkness, its form shifting and almost intangible. They call themselves the Nixari, Mira explained. They exist partly in this dimension and partly in another. Their technology warps reality, nothing like the physical weapons we know. Elira joined them, eyes narrowing. The Solari legends speak of shadows that devour light, beings from the void between stars. If the Nixari are real, they're a nightmare. Kane's jaw tightened. We've faced war before, but this is something new. The Council of Zaloria convened once more, this time with humans present as allies. The room crackled with tension as Elira explained the Nixari threat. Our enemy is unlike the Dravak. This is not a war of brute force. It is a war of existence, of light against darkness. Mira's voice cut through the murmur. We need to understand how they operate. If their technology bends reality, we'll need to rethink our strategies. Kane nodded. Prepare the research teams. I want every scientific mind focused on this. Elira, can your warriors adapt to fight in this shifting battlefield? Elira's gaze was steady. Our transformation grants us strength, but these shadows are unlike any foe we've faced. We will train and learn, but we will survive. Days turned into nights as the Odyssey's labs worked tirelessly. Humans and Solari, scientists collaborated, piecing together fragments of Nixari signals and analyzing their strange technology. Every breakthrough revealed deeper mysteries, gravity distortions, time anomalies, and energy fields that defied conventional physics. One evening, Mira approached Kane with urgent news. Captain, we've detected Nixari probes near Zaloria's outer system. They're studying us, learning our weaknesses. Kane's expression hardened. Then the fight is coming. We have to be ready. That night, the city of Zaloria bristled with a new kind of vigilance. Solari warriors patrolled, the skies in their transformed forms, their armor shimmering with protective energy. Human marines fortified the perimeter, blending alien and human technology. Kane and Elira stood side by side on the bridge, watching the darkened void. Do you think they fear us? Kane asked quietly. Elira's eyes gleamed. The Nixari fear the light we carry. But shadows are relentless. Suddenly the ship's sensors flared, Nixari tendrils snaking through space, probing, testing defenses. The crew braced as reality itself seemed to twist around them. Hallucinations flickered, systems glitched, and gravity shifted unpredictably. Kane barked orders. Hold the line. Focus on what's real. Remember who we are. Mira's voice was steady despite the chaos. We've faced darkness before. This is just another shadow to fight. Elira's form shimmered as she shifted between grace and warrior. We are the light beneath the mask, and we will not fall. As the first wave of Nixari probes engaged the defenses, the battle became a war not just of weapons, but of minds and wills. Kane's crew fought through distortions, relying on instinct and trust. In the depths of the chaos, Kane caught a glimpse of something terrifying, an enemy form, shifting and pulsing, almost too alien to comprehend. But he held his ground. This was no longer just a fight for Zaloria. It was a battle for existence itself. The Odyssey pierced the violet haze of Zaloria's atmosphere, its engines humming steadily as the starship settled onto the crystalline surface. Below them stretched an endless city of towering spires and shimmering glass, bathed in the soft light of Zaloria's twin suns. To the crew peering from the viewport, it looked like a dream. Too perfect, too serene. Captain Jace Kane stood at the bridge's forward console, his eyes scanning the alien metropolis. Years of exploration had taught him to trust instincts, and his told him that beneath this flawless exterior, something waited, something hidden. Ready to make contact, Kane said, voice low but steady. Lieutenant Mira Reyes nodded beside him, her fingers hovering over the comm panel. All systems green, they're broadcasting a welcome signal. It's surprisingly warm. Warm's good, Kane replied. Let's hope it's genuine. Moments later, the massive landing gates parted with a crystalline hum, revealing the first of the Solari emissaries. They stepped forward gracefully, tall, slender, and impossibly beautiful. Their skin glowed faintly, smooth and translucent, catching the light like liquid pearl. Their eyes were pools of iridescence, deep and enigmatic. The Solari's emissary approached with a serene smile. Welcome, humans. We have awaited your arrival for many cycles. Kane returned the greeting with a nod. Captain Jace Kane of the Odyssey. We come in peace, eager to learn and share. The emissary's smile deepened, but there was something strange in its eyes. A flicker, almost imperceptible. You find us beautiful, do you not? Kane blinked. Yes, you are. Remarkable. The emissary's gaze seemed to sharpen. Beauty is a gift and a mask. You have not yet seen what lies beneath. Kane frowned. The words echoed in his mind long after the emissary stepped back to allow the humans' entry. He didn't understand then what the alien meant, but the warning planted a seed of doubt. Inside the Solari city was beyond anything the Odyssey's crew had imagined. Towers spiraled toward the sky like frozen waterfalls of crystal, their surfaces shifting colors as light danced across them. Gardens bloomed in impossible abundance, with flowers that pulsed gently as if alive. Humans walked among the Solari, with a mixture of awe and disbelief. It's like a paradise, murmured Ensign Harris, her voice hushed. Mira's eyes scanned every detail, noting the almost perfect symmetry of the architecture, the soft hum of energy that seemed to vibrate through the air. But it feels rehearsed, like a play, or a trap, Kane muttered. Their guide, Elira, a Solari woman whose beauty seemed to glow from within, smiled gently. Our city is built on harmony and balance. Here, we nurture peace and understanding. But there's more, isn't there? Mira pressed. You spoke of masks. Elira's smile flickered just for a moment. There are truths hidden, yes. Not all are ready to see beyond the surface. That night, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, the humans gathered in the Odyssey's common room. The air was thick with questions and uncertainty. We came looking for allies, Kane said quietly. And maybe friends, but the Solari, they're hiding something. Mira nodded. I saw something strange in their ritual today. It wasn't just meditation, it was a transformation. Their bodies seemed to shift. Harris shivered. You think they're dangerous? Not necessarily, Kane said thoughtfully. Just different from what we expected. Across the room, the ship's AI softly chimed. Incoming message from the Solari emissary. Kane tapped the console. The emissary's serene face appeared on the screen, her voice calm but edged with meaning. You call us beautiful, human, but beauty is fragile without strength. When the stars darken, what you have yet to see will be the key to survival. The message ended, leaving a heavy silence. Kane stared at the screen. We've only scratched the surface of Zaloria, and the truth is, waiting beneath. The night outside the ship felt colder now, the perfect city shimmering under alien moons. The crew knew their journey had just begun, and what they'd find beneath the beautiful facade might change everything. The next morning dawned crisp and golden over Zaloria, but for the humans aboard the Odyssey, unease still clung like a shadow. Captain Kane led his team through the streets of the Solari city, accompanied by Elira. The air was sweet with alien blossoms, and crystal spires glittered like frozen rainbows in the light. Yet beneath the breathtaking beauty, something felt off. Lieutenant Mira Reyes kept her eyes sharp, noting the subtle differences between Solari smiles and the flicker behind their eyes. They're too perfect, she murmured, like statues made to please. Elira glanced back at Mira, her voice soft. Perfection is a shield. Our beauty is both a blessing and a necessity. Kane nodded slowly. You said yesterday there were things we're not meant to see. What exactly? Elira hesitated, then gestured toward a towering structure in the distance, a cathedral-like edifice shimmering with fractal light. Come, I will show you a sacred ritual. It is not for all eyes. Inside the vast chamber, humans were struck by an eerie silence. Silari gathered in a circle, their bodies glowing faintly as they began to chant. The air vibrated with energy. Kane felt it ripple through his bones. Mira's breath caught as she noticed their skin subtly ripple, like a heat haze distorting their forms. Their faces seemed to blur, then sharpen, each Silari shifting in ways that defied logic. "What is happening?" she whispered. Elira's voice was almost a whisper. "This is the veil ceremony. We shed our surface to connect with the core of who we are. To survive, we must remember what lurks beneath." Suddenly, one Silari's form convulsed, flesh seeming to melt and reform into something else, muscular, armored, and fierce. A warrior's shape, fierce and primal, snarling beneath the beauty. The humans gasped, instinctively stepping back. Kane's heart hammered. "Why hide this?" "Because," Elira said quietly, "to reveal our true forms is to invite fear. To hide them is to protect peace." Mira's mind raced. The Silari weren't just elegant diplomats. They were warriors masked by beauty. As the ceremony ended, the Silari returned to their graceful forms, the room filling with soft light once more. Outside, Mira pulled Kane aside. "We need to explore beneath the city. That ritual, it's a clue." Kane's jaw tightened. "Agreed, but carefully. We don't know what else they're hiding." That night, the crew gathered in the ship's briefing room. Screens displayed images of the ceremony and the city's layout. The mysterious underground tunnels Elira hinted at awaited their discovery. Ensign Harris voiced the concern everyone felt. "Are we sure the Silari can be trusted? What if they see us as threats?" Mira's eyes burned with determination. "They don't know us yet. But neither do we know them. We need answers." Kane weighed the options. "We proceed cautiously. Contact Elira at first. If she refuses, we go alone." As the Odyssey's crew prepared for the descent, an unexpected message crackled through the comm. A formal invitation from the Silari Council to join a diplomatic feast. Elira smiled when Kane shared the news. "They wish to strengthen bonds. But remember, the more we learn, the more we realize what remains hidden." At the feast, the Silari dazzled with their refined grace and enigmatic conversations. Yet Kane caught glimpses of flickering tension behind their smiles. When the emissary toasted to peace, her eyes locked with his. "True beauty," she said softly, "is not in what you see, but in what you can endure." Kane raised his glass, the weight of her words settling deep. Humanity's journey on Zaloria was only beginning, and beneath this veil of perfection lay a truth that would challenge everything they believed about strength, survival, and the meaning of beauty. The Odyssey rocked under the Nixari assault, the very fabric of reality bending and twisting around them. Captain Kane gritted his teeth, struggling to maintain order as systems flickered and crew members staggered, caught between dimensions. "Status report," Kane barked, gripping the edge of the command console. Lieutenant Mira Reyes's voice was tight but steady. "Hull integrity is holding, but the distortions are spreading. Energy weapons are less effective. Our attacks phase through them like ghosts." Elira stood beside Kane, her form shifting subtly as if resonating with the Nixari's unstable energy. "Their power feeds on fear and doubt," she said. "We must hold our minds as firmly as our weapons." Kane glanced at the tactical display. Nixari tendrils were converging on a massive dark shape, the core of their presence in this system. Intelligence suggested this heart of darkness was the source of the Nixari's reality-warping power, a living nexus of shadow and energy. "We have to strike it down," Kane said. "Destroy their nexus or we lose everything." Mira's eyes flashed determination. "But how? Conventional weapons barely touch it." Elira's voice was calm, but fierce. We cannot fight this enemy as before. We must become the light they cannot pierce. The Odyssey's crew scrambled to prepare a desperate plan. A combined strike using the Solari's transformation technology to amplify human weaponry, synchronized with a psychic attack channeling through Elira's warriors. Hours later, as the Nyxari tendrils writhed closer, Kane led a strike team into the dark zone aboard a specialized assault shuttle. The void outside seemed to ripple with unseen malice, reality bending and warping with every step. Inside the shuttle, Kane felt the weight of every life depending on their success. Mira sat beside him, her face set with grim resolve. "Ready?" Kane asked. Mira nodded. "Always." They docked with the Heart of Darkness, and the assault team poured into the alien structure, walls pulsing with shifting shadows and flickering light. The air was thick with oppressive energy, whispering doubts and fears into their minds. Kane tightened his grip on his weapon. "Stay focused. Remember who we are." As they advanced, the shadows seemed to reach for them, twisting into monstrous forms, Nyxari guardians shaped from nightmares. The team fought fiercely, pulse blasts and energy blades cutting through shifting darkness. Suddenly, Kane's vision blurred. A voice echoed in his mind, a cold, ancient whisper trying to fracture his resolve. "You are nothing but a flicker, soon to be snuffed out." Kane forced himself to breathe deeply, grounding himself. "I am the light beneath the mask," he whispered. "I am human. I am warrior." His voice ignited something in Elira's team, who echoed his mantra as they pushed forward. At the core, the Heart of Darkness pulsed like a living storm. Kane raised the weapon enhanced by Solari technology, charged with their combined energy. "Now!" he shouted. Elira and her warriors unleashed a psychic wave, weaving light and energy into a focused beam that tore through the shadowy core. The heart shrieked, reality trembling as it began to unravel. But the Nyxari struck back fiercely, tendrils lashed out, slamming into the assault team. Kane felt a searing pain as darkness tried to consume him, but he fought through, driven by the unity forged between human grit and Solari strength. With a final, deafening roar, the Heart of Darkness shattered, light exploding outward, purging shadows and restoring balance. Exhausted but victorious, Kane and his team staggered back to the shuttle, battered but alive. Back on the Odyssey, Elira approached, Kane, her surface form returning, serene and beautiful once more. "You have done more than survive," she said softly. "You have proven that beneath the mask lies a power no shadow can conquer." Kane smiled. The weariness weighed on him. "It's not just power. It's trust. Between us. That's what makes us unbreakable." As the crew tended to their wounds, Kane looked out into the stars, knowing the galaxy was far from safe. But whatever darkness rose, humanity and the Solari would face it, beautiful, fierce, and unyielding. The Odyssey drifted in the serene quiet of space, the war behind them, but never truly over. Captain Jace Kane stood once more on the observation deck, watching the stars twinkle like distant promises. Beside him, Elira's presence was calm but resolute, her Solari form now balanced, graceful and powerful, beauty and beast in harmony. Lieutenant Mira Reyes joined them, her expression softer than during the fires of battle, yet just as fierce. "We changed everything," Mira said quietly. "Not just for Zaloria or the Solari, but for all of us." Kane nodded, his gaze fixed, on the horizon of infinite possibilities. "We did. The galaxy saw us, humans and Solari, not as masks or shadows but as whole beings. Flawed, fierce, beautiful." Elira's eyes held a new light. "The alliance we forged is fragile but unbreakable. Together we are stronger than any darkness." The Council of Zaloria had embraced the truth beneath the mask. The Solari no longer hid their warrior nature, but wore it openly alongside their serene elegance. Humanity, in turn, had learned to shed the comfort of illusion and face the universe's raw, unvarnished reality. Kane's thoughts drifted to the many who had fought and fallen, the human Marines who had stood shoulder to shoulder with Solari, warriors, the scientists who had unlocked secrets, and the leaders who had dared to shatter the masks. "Do you think the galaxy is ready?" Mira asked, her voice tinged with hope and doubt. Kane considered. "Maybe not yet, but it will be. Because we showed that strength comes not from hiding who we are, but from embracing it." Elira smiled softly. "And from the bonds we forge, in truth." As the Odyssey prepared to depart Zaloria's orbit, a final transmission crackled in. The message was brief but urgent. New worlds sought alliance inspired by the courage of Zaloria and its defenders. "We're not just survivors," Kane said. "We're pioneers." Mira looked out the viewport, determination shining. "Ready? For whatever comes next." Elira placed a hand on Kane's shoulder. "The mask may fall, but beneath it lies something eternal. Hope." In the quiet hum of the ship, amid stars that whispered of endless frontiers, Captain Kane allowed himself a rare smile. The journey had been long and perilous, but beneath the beauty and beneath the beast, they had found something greater, themselves. And whatever darkness awaited in the vast unknown, they would meet it, not as fractured faces hiding behind lies, but as a united force, beautiful, fierce, and unbreakable. The stars called and they answered.